Tonight we have Dangle here to speak about his Packet Sender application. So it is now averaging 500 downloads a day, which is extremely impressive. And it's bundled into a Linux operating system, among many other things. So it's going to be very exciting to see just what he's done and how impressive his accomplishment is. Plus, it will give us the inspiration to create similar things ourselves. And so tonight we'll just be able to learn a lot and then gain some great inspiration. Thank you so much for coming, Dan.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'm Dan Nagel, Senior Software Engineer for Harman, and this is an open source app that I wrote called Packet Sender. It is a network troubleshooting utility. Who here is familiar with TCP and UDP protocols? Used to be. Okay, well, that's okay. You'll get to see plenty of it. But before I dive into that, I just want everybody to be aware that there is a B-Side security conference. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's only $10, and it's February 6th at Dynetics. So if you want to learn more about security issues, you should check out that conference. Now, Packet Sender, I wrote the first version back in 2011, and I've been gradually maintaining it ever since. And it's been an iterative process. It's first started off on mobile, then became desktop and mobile. Now it's only desktop. So it's a lot of iterations. And I could go into various stories about how the popularity of the app grew as I redesigned it, made it better, made the website faster. That could be an interesting discussion in itself. But it runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and just about anything that you can compile it to, since it's open source, C++. It is GPL version 2. Who's familiar with the GPL? Just about almost everybody. Basically means you can redistribute Packet Sender all you want. You can use it commercially. You can modify the code. You can use it for free without ever paying me anything. However, you cannot bundle the code into your own internal project. But the main reason I put this slide on here is not so much to lecture about the GPL. It's because some places redistribute Packet Sender with malware. And they are allowed to do that because of the GPL. I went to one site, and they were redistributing Packet Sender, and it said, app works great, except it bundled in all these toolbars and adware, and it absolutely did that. So, summary, avoid download.com. They used to be good. And that's the link up here, github.com, Dan Nagel, Packet Sender, if you want to get the app for yourself. Used publicly, I went scouring the internet, and I found public places where they're actually using it. I get a lot of hits from places like bugtracker.randomcompany.com, jira.randomcompany.com, portal.someothercompany.com. So their internal bug tracking tool. They're linking to my site, so I can't go see what they're saying. But this is a debug troubleshooting tool, so it makes sense to find it there. But these people are actually just out in the open. So Atmel, who's heard of Atmel? They're a multi-billion-dollar semiconductor company in Silicon Valley. And here is something interesting. There it is. So that is Atmel, their user guide. And look at that big fat screenshot.
Pretty validating.
Right. So Atmel, the semiconductor company, is saying, go download this tool because, I did a better job than they care to do. So that's pretty good validation. Texas Instruments, if you go to their forums, screenshots saying, I can't get yours to work. Here's a Packet Sender screenshot. Harman Professional, that's my employer. But they would be using it if they weren't my employer. I'd like to think they would be. Archtrack Linux, they're now bundling Packet Sender, and many, many other places internally. I know Noah said 500, but what I did was I stripped out all the installers that weren't currently active, and I recalculated that way, and I got 250. So we'll say 500 is the upper bound, 200 the absolute lowest, 250 if you want to just go by active downloads of the current installers. So can you give this to me in Packet Sender format? I saw a forum post. Someone posted the answer, and they said, can I have Packet Sender format? So that means I'm actually driving the standard. So that's very impressive. So the website is MIT licensed. If you like my website, I open sourced it. If you want to use it for yourself, just go grab the code. It's all good. And there's the link. Now we can get to the actual uses. I got to move it along. There's not much time for this presentation. But these are the use cases for Packet Center. I'm not going to go over all of them, but control devices beyond the original apps. That is one that I'm going to be showing today. Automation, there's a command line utility if you want to work it into your scripting system. Network APIs, malware analysis, that's another one you get to see today. And testing network connectivity. Packet Sender on one side of the network, Packet Sender on the other side of the network. Can the two talk to each other? If they can, your network is good. That's a very common way people use it. Usually firewall problems get in the way of that. And tech support. I made a portable packet sender. Get a packet sender, all the packets and settings the way you want, zip it up, send it to the end user, and they can just launch it and see if it works. So there's some of that going on. There is the command line interface. It comes with all the versions, and it's Linux style. You can do short notation, -TAW or --TCP, delay, and so forth. And then there's the response. So here is my setup. I have my computer running Packet Sender, and I'll be using Wireshark for the malware analysis. I have a Raspberry Pi connected via my network cable, and I'm going to be sending packets to that Raspberry Pi. And on that Raspberry Pi, I have audio cable connected to a non-Harman speaker because I was not employed by Harman at the time I bought that speaker, just so you know. And it's going to be playing music off that SD card. Now, is everybody here familiar with Raspberry Pi? Have you ever played with one, held one? Well, you're in luck because I brought a few extras. This is just the box, so feel free to play with those, take a look at them. But basically, Raspberry Pi is a single board computer, and I think most of us are familiar with that aspect of it. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the demo. I'm going to be reverse engineering this app right here called Pi Player. Pi Player it's open source. If you like this app to play with on your own, you can go get the source code for this. But Pi Player represents a typical app that you might get if you were to buy a network device. Say, Roku, has a network API. If you were to buy a network device, they may give you an app to control it. And you can use Paxson to reverse engineer that app so you no longer need it anymore. So the first thing the app does is it discovers the Raspberry Pi. And it does this via a broadcast. So I click that, connected, it found my Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to reverse engineer that aspect of it. Then I'm going to reverse engineer this button, song 1. It sent a command to the Raspberry Pi, and now it's playing music. I'll go to the next song. I can toggle between the two, then I can stop. All good. We're good. So now I need to reverse engineer it. So let's launch the Packet Sender. And you can see here I've already reverse engineered before, so I'm going to clear these out. And this is a good excuse to show you the tool. But I'm going to show you the tool because I'm short on time as I reverse engineer. So let's launch Wireshark. Who's here familiar with Wireshark? Some. That's good. It is a protocol analyzer. So I'm going to look at TCP or UDP packets on this port. And the first thing I need to do is I'm going to discover the Raspberry Pi again. And you can see here I caught the packet. My Raspberry Pi is at 0.169. Do you see that? 0.169. So let's go to Packet Sender, and I'm going to call this Find Pi. Packet Sender supports ASCII to hex translation on the fly. So I need to find the packet that was sent, and it was find units. That's the packet that is sent out. So I'm going to replicate that packet. And there's the hex translation. and the broadcast address is 255.255. What port did he talk to? He talked to port 15,000. So 15,000 UDP, and I hit save, and I have replicated that packet. That was his response, server address at that. So I just replicated that button. Now I have 3 more buttons to replicate, then 4 more, then I won't need this app anymore. So song 1, song 2, toggle. It's a little sticky button. There it goes. Stop. So let's find the other packets. And you can see here, these are all TCP connections. So if we jump to the top, there's the packet. It is called play 0. See that? That's the data packet. So I'm going to call this play 1. Play 0 is the command, and it was sent directly to the unit on 15,000, and it was TCP. So I'll save that. Now I'll find the next one. There it is. Play 1 is the next song. So play 2, play 1, hex translation, and save. Now I'm going to show you a few different things about Packet Sender. All of these fields can be rearranged. So if you want to go to settings, if I care about the ASCII versus the resend, you can slide that up there. You have various network controls, so I'll hit OK. You can see the ASCII jumped over here. This is a slider bar. If you care about the traffic log, not about the packets, you can slide that up. And now you're only looking at the traffic log. And the reverse, if you only care about the packets, you can slide that up, and so forth. You can copy the packet to your clipboard, you can save, you can export, all those good things that you would expect in a nice app. And of course, you can search your packets. So if you have a lot, you only care about play. So let's move on. My next packet is toggle. And the command is toggle. Save that. And stop command is stop. Who would have guessed?
I would have.
You would have guessed? I left out my to address, but that's fine. I can click directly into right here. There we go. So I find. There it goes. Now I'll play the next one. Stop. My demo's not working. Could not connect. Why couldn't it connect? Play 1, 15,000. There it goes. There it goes. Raspberry Pi is not a very strong processor, but it works. Stop. Toggle. So is there any questions about the Packet Sender app so far? Yes.
Okay, so I'm techie, but I'm not this techie. So what you're doing is you've replicated the functionality of...
Right, I have replicated this app and I no longer need it.
Right, so you like intercepted the command from that app to make the music play over a network.
Correct.
And took
Well,
the-
I intercepted the network packet. The actual command that app was sending out to the Raspberry Pi, I caught that and I replicated, and now I no longer need the app.
Okay, What's like another real world instance that would make sense to?
I have seen someone talk about this app in relation to, he had a Mac, the app was Windows only, and it was written in Java. He hated it, so he intercepted the packets, recreated on Packet Sender for the Mac, and now he no longer needs to launch his Windows VM in order to control his device.
Okay. What is an example that a 10-year-old could understand? It's like super.
Probably not anything for a 10-year-old.
Well, say I had a keyboard and it only worked on a Mac, and I could just like type all the keys once, and then I could make it work on Windows. I understand
No,
the
because
packets.
this is network control. The keyboard's usually USB or
Okay, so
PS2.
this has something to do with networks.
I think the home automation example might be good.
Exactly, home
Say
automation.
for instance, like you want to do your Nest controller, your thermostat or something. Those are usually Wi-Fi enabled devices. And say for instance, you had to use their app, or let's say it was only on iOS, but you had Android. You could use Packet Sender in theory. I don't know if there's a mobile version.
There was a mobile version. I discontinued it.
In theory, though, you could program a desktop application or something else to spoof it to where you're saying like, pay attention to me.
Here's
I'm the one
here's
sending
a
you.
I understand.
here's one that you can handle. So let me get back to over here. So now that I caught the packets, I know what they do. I can use the command line scripting engine to automate the entire system. So I bought this device. Say it's I work for AMX now. So say AMX controller takes commands to do stuff. In this device over here, I was only given a desktop app to control it, but I want my AMX to be able to do it. So I can capture those commands. I can run Packet Sender scripting utilities, script the whole thing, and now your whole home is automated. So what you could do, I no longer need this app. I can take this Raspberry Pi music player, I can install it over here. I can have Packet Sender kick off a script command at say 7 in the morning to start my music. Then another script command, 5 p.m. to turn it off.
Right, but what about, in the business world, how would you utilize this for, networks to safeguard against a hack or finding out if somebody's got, is there an application there for that?
I'm going to show you the malware demo right now.
The malware demo?
Yes.
Okay.
There is malware running on that Raspberry Pi. I know it's there because I put it there. And I am now going to find it. So let's do a live on the wire network capture. So I'm going to stop, I'm going to start, and my capture filter will be this host address. He is at 169. So let's start. Now he's running ARP requests. The Raspberry Pi, I'm capturing those ARP requests right now. The Raspberry Pi, the software, and he's saying, who it has 192.168.0.1? That is my gateway. Can anybody guess why he wants the gateway?
Because he wants to get in.
No, he wants to go out.
Okay,
He's trying to get to the internet.
okay.
But I'm going to close the connection. He can't get to the internet because the gateway does not exist. So I'm going to give him the gateway. So let's give him a gateway. And I'll do that by giving my computer a second IP address. That's normally the gateway IP address. .0.1, that's what he wanted. All right. Scroll down. Okay, so he found the gateway. And now he's trying to talk to this address. 192.185.38.28. That's the address he's trying to get to. That's some random address out on the internet. He can't get to it because it's a closed network. So I'm going to give him that address. 192.185.38.22. All right. I have packet sender listening on the correct port, so I'm going to take them off the correct port since I did this demo earlier. Because I want you to see what happens when it doesn't work.
When what doesn't work?
You'll see.
Shut up, be quiet.
So now that he found 192, 188, see, there it goes. He found 192, 185, 38.22 because my computer is at that address now.
Right.
But I don't have a port listening on port 5000. So I'm going to give him port 5000 now. That's why I took packet sender off that port. Packet sender has built-in UDP and TCP servers that can listen to whatever port you want. That's one of the unique features of this packet generator tool. Not only it sends, it can receive. So here's the part that gets useful for security testing. Now we should just see it appear right here. Yep, there it is. I caught the packet. We'll copy it to the clipboard and paste it right here. And you see that? He ran a port scan on me. He ran a port scan yesterday evening. He found all these ports that I have open. Then you can see down here, he found that I'm running Apple OS X, OpenSSH. And here's something that's useful. I'm running Apple Remote Desktop, a VNC client, and he knows that I'm running it on port 5900, and it could potentially be wide open to the world. So he'll sending this document out to some random IP address on the internet, and I intercepted and caught it. And if I known what command that he's looking for to see that he got it, he would have stopped. And I don't have that command, but
So this is useful to network security?
it's
as
useful
an
for.
afterthought, or not afterthought, but after, let's say, a hack, or, well,
That's one of the use cases of it, but the main use case for this is developing network-based devices. If you are developing a network-based device that accepted commands, such as it accepted a Pi player, it accepted a discover command, it accepted a play command, it accepted a stop command, how do you test that device? You need something to generate those commands to send to the device. Then you need something to accept the response so you can see what the device said when it comes back. So the actual development of these network-based devices, packet sender is really useful, and that is part of the main motivation that I created it. Because if you were to go to various engineers that develop network-based control devices, usually they have their own little script tool that they homebrewed themselves to send off the packet. But now they have this tool that they can go download and use. And it's simple enough that you can just give this to an end user if they're having problems. So that's the main motivation.
You going for AMX now, or is that just something you said?
Well, I used to work for SVSI. SVSI got bought by Harman in June, and they gave us to their AMX subsidiary.
Right.
But I tell people I work for Harman because if you look at my pay stub, it says Harman. So that's why I say
The
Harman.
reason I was asking, 'cause I was looking to try and learn how to configure their devices. And the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing there, unfortunately. They make a lot of money, I'm sure.
Well, yes.
Could you hijack a Chromecast or something like that, and then automate your entertainment system?
You would. The Chromecast and I mentioned Roku earlier, they usually use a RESTful API, which Packet Center does not do. And they usually have their own sophisticated API that you can call directly. You'd be better off just using wget or curl calls that can do a true RESTful API.
This seems like it could be useful for Internet of Things applications, like as
Yes.
the market expands, you know, and especially with testing. and
I
doing
submitted
IoT stuff.
I submitted a PyPlayer to Hackster.io. They accepted it. So there's a my app is on. I'll turn my Wi-Fi back on and show you.
Yeah, I can open it up with a Raspberry Pi.
Come on now. Oh, I gave myself a gateway that does not exist. So let's remove it. That'd be useful. Let's apply. There we go. So Hackster gave me a free Raspberry Pi, and this is what I did with it. Basically, the demo that you see here. Except the difference is I made it mobile controlled using a responsive web app. And that demo is right here. That's also part of the PyPlayer project if you're interested in downloading everything that I showed you today. So there's a desktop portion, the Pi server, all this written in C++, and the web view, which is located right here. See, if I hit that, it would send locally to the PyPlayer itself, so you can play, stop, and go to the next song. And that was written in PHP, Bootstrap, JavaScript, all that good stuff. So yes, they originally gave me the Raspberry Pi to develop it for Windows 10 Internet of Things. I don't know, I think you were there when I was ranting about Windows 10 Internet of Things. It's garbage, because you're wondering. Use Raspbian instead. You'll be very happy if you just stick with Raspbian on the Raspberry Pi. But this worked quite nicely on the Linux-based Raspberry Pi. And here's a video demo. If you liked this demo so much, you could go watch it again.
So you built Packet Sender for Mac, PC, and Linux?
Yes.
Okay. And the command line.
Yes.
Um,
All those screenshots.
what was the original inspiration behind?
Here's the command line right there. The original inspiration is I was sitting at work one day. We were developing our windowing processor, and I knew the windowing processor. It takes TCP-based commands. Switch streams, turn this window, do this, all kinds of stuff through commands. And I needed some way to test it, and I homebrewed my own little utility to do it. And then I walked over to one of the other engineers. He had his own little homebrew utility, and I thought, I could just do this, make it nice. And I knew that I would never get. We were at like a 10-person team at the time. I knew I would never find time to do it at work. So I went home and I wrote Packet Sender. The original version actually ran on mobile. It was an Android app. And the reason for that is I was just interested in learning Android. So I did it. It kind of worked. And I made a website, put up a WordPress, and nobody cared. So eventually I decided that hitting this button on my phone to test the device, was just kind of tedious. I'd rather run on the desktop. So I decided I'm going to build this for the desktop, and I'm going to just build it from the ground up to run on anything, because I had full intention of making it available. So I started with that design aspect at the beginning, and I built it, put it on the internet, overhauled the website so it's faster, and then eventually people found it. Any other questions?
How'd you promote it?
It's purely word of mouth. After I overhauled the site, basically the first year of life of this app, nobody cared. And then I overhauled the site. I dropped WordPress, rewrote everything to be a static page, and then that plus releasing a desktop version, Google liked it a whole lot better. And then Google started indexing it. I started getting good hits on people searching for send UDP packet. That's basically the number one hit, send UDP packet. And they sent them to me, and then eventually it spread into Stack Overflow, and then it spread into other forums and automation forums, like people playing with their electronics-based Legos. I don't know if it's actual Legos, but something like that. People were using that. People were using it to send commands to their remote control cars and things like that. A flight simulation software company found it, and they started saying, or use this to test our controls, and then it kind of spread from that way. So there's no advertising budget at all. Anything else?
It's over my head. That's all I can say.
Well, it's very obscure. I mean, you have to be a pretty hardcore developer to appreciate it, but the people who use it really like it. I mean, this is the only app I've written that I've gotten actual fan mail out of the blue for it, and it's purely donations, just straight up gratis donations. Somebody from Germany 2 weeks ago donated $20. All right, we're running late for the book club, right?
Great job.
Thank you.